The story starts with an attempted robbery targeting an armored truck from Fortigro Cash Transport, carrying 2 guards and a driver, transporting a large amount of money. As they're moving, a construction mixer blocks the road. The driver gets out, holding a gun aimed at them. The robbers mark it as an armed robbery, while the guards try to call the police. The attackers open the truck door using a welding tool and throw a flashbang inside to scare them. The guards get out, and the gang takes the money, escaping before the police can catch them. Some time later, we move to Fortigro's headquarters. H applies for a job at the company. He meets the manager, Abel Terry, who explains that the company handles money for retail stores, casinos, hotels, and private banks. The fleet has 12 armored trucks, each with 3 guards, a driver, a communications officer, and a security guard. Each truck transports about $15 million daily, sometimes more. Terry emphasizes that the work is tough and dangerous, so guards are trained extensively and paid well for peace of mind. H has previously worked for a security services company and has an impressive resume. The company lost 2 guards and a civilian in a robbery, and the police haven't caught the gang yet. That's why all guards undergo 60 hours of weapons training. Bolt is assigned to train H in a pre-employment course lasting 8 hours, where a 70% score is required to pass. H starts with intense physical training, then moves on to firearms practice, needing extra work on accuracy. Finally, he trains in driving. Bolt informs him that his score is 70%, the minimum passing grade. H receives his work uniform, is introduced to his co-workers, shown his locker and given a temporary weapon until his personal firearm arrives. On his first day, H is given an easy task. He goes on his first assignment with Bolt, the communications officer, and Dave, the driver, while H serves as a guard. During the ride, Dave tells him about colleagues who were killed in the previous robbery, and H confirms he knows about the incident. The mission is to transport $2 million to a bank in the U.S. Dave sits in the truck while H and Bolt handle security. They reach the pickup point, load the money safely into the truck, and return it to headquarters. Bolt explains that John won't allow the truck inside until he sees the driver and guard on camera. The first day ends, with Bolt inviting H for a drink and a game of pool. The next day, they head out on a second mission to collect $100,000. Bolt is delayed, and Dave calls him over the radio. Suddenly, they hear a gang member threatening Bolt with a gun, demanding they follow instructions if they want to save their teammate. Dave panics, but H stays calm, convincing him not to flee or abandon Bolt. H drives the truck to the gang's location. The gang pulls Bolt out, beats him, and orders them to open the truck and transfer the money. H remains completely calm and professional, taking out the gang alone. He hits most of his shots in the head, maintaining perfect accuracy. He tracks the gang leader, shooting him in the leg, and asks if anyone else is working with them. They refuse to speak, and H finishes the job successfully. After finishing the mission, H noticed that Dave and Bolt were watching him. He studied the faces of each gang member as if searching for someone. Then he returned to the company with his colleagues, where they were investigated about the robbery that had occurred and how H managed to kill 6 people on his own without getting injured. He had been extremely precise with his shots, even though he only scored 70% on the company's tests. H explained that he had only 2 options, kill or be killed, which heightened his focus and saved his teammates. 2 police officers came to get his account of the robbery, which had resulted in the deaths of 2 guards and a civilian. H watched the footage and was visibly affected, but focused only on one person in the video. He told them he didn't recognize anyone. The company manager explained that they have a policy to temporarily reassign employees who experience violent incidents to lighter duties to protect their mental well-being. H told them he was assigned to complete a mission, and he did it successfully. His job was to protect the company and his team. The owner of Fortigro appeared to personally thank him for what he had done the day before, calling him a hero, and granted him the rest of the day off. The owner told Terry that if H had been with them last year, the company would have avoided major losses. Later, the investigators who had been questioning H spoke to their boss, King, saying H was the person they had once tried to fire. They noted that he had 25 years of experience working at a company handling millions of dollars. King stated that money wasn't H's goal, he had another objective. They were instructed to treat him like any other guard and let him do what he wanted, as long as it didn't harm the company. H received the rest of the day off, and went home to meet his girlfriend, who had brought him files on all company guards and the autopsy he had requested. He stayed up late studying the files. The next day, H went to work to receive his personal weapon and noticed that all his colleagues were starting to like and trust him. After 3 months, they went on a mission. Bolt drove the truck with H sitting next to him. On the way, a man on a motorcycle wearing a helmet appeared to block them, and during a second robbery attempt, someone threw colored balls at the truck's windows to obscure their vision. As usual, H remained calm while the gang placed a gas device on the truck to force them out. Bolt exited quickly before suffocating and fell to the ground. H opened the rear door and stepped out in front of the gang, who were armed and threatening to kill him. He had a cloth over his face to protect from the gas and stared them down. Once his hand extended, the gang all fled. H recovered the money for the company. Terry couldn't believe what had happened, and Bolt was astonished, telling Dave that the moment H appeared in front of the gang, he looked like an evil spirit that terrified them. Flashback 5 months earlier, H was out with his son when he received a call from Mike, an employee, reporting a problem with a mission. H instructed him to monitor the armored truck to ensure no one else could execute the task, as the assigned watcher had fallen off his motorcycle. H agreed and headed to the truck's location, with his mission being to monitor it and report any movement to Mike. He left his son by the company and told him to lock himself inside the car while he went to get food. While observing, the robbery began. His son was the closest witness to the action and saw everything. One gang member got out of the vehicle and struck someone to the ground. H returned to see his son lying on the ground and ran toward him, while one of the Fortigro guards tried to resist the gang. The guard was shot and killed, and H's son was murdered in front of him for seeing the attack. H ran to try to stop them but was fired upon. He continued to watch in shock and grief. 3 weeks later, H woke up from a coma in the hospital. The doctor told him 6 bullets had been removed from his body, and he had undergone 3 surgeries, 2 of them life-saving. H asked about his son and learned that he had died. He tried to reassure his wife, Jenny, that his job wasn't the cause, but she blamed him and left in tears. H decided to tear the city apart until he found the gang and the man who killed his son in front of his eyes. He teamed up with Agent King to gather information about the robbery and was given the city's gang blacklist, which might be connected to the heist. King told him to act freely. H assembled his team to pursue justice and revenge for his son's death. They start searching the entire city, killing everyone on the blacklist, hoping to find the person who killed H's son. They kidnap a gang leader from his home and torture him until he confesses the name of the city's most powerful gang, the Brotherhood, and whether they had any involvement in the heist. They discover that while the gang was involved in stealing money, they were not the ones who killed H's son. H kills all of them. Mike tells him to stay calm and think carefully, noting that the original robbery must have been aided by an insider from Fortigro. The gang members who fled when they saw him were former associates. H decides to work inside the company himself. He instructs Christie to gather all required documents, so he can create a fake identity. When he stands in front of the guards' names, he photographs all of them with his phone to send to his girlfriend so she can compile all their files. This way, H can identify the traitor inside the company and, through him, reach the gang that killed his son. Meanwhile, the gang, led by Jack, is in desperate need of money. They plan to rob a villa guarded by their former associate Carlos. They successfully steal it, but the amount is small, so they plan a bigger heist, armored trucks transporting money. They have an insider in the company who informs them of the truck's schedules and the amounts, taking a cut of the money. They prepare to rob the first truck. Jack's birthday coincides with planning a new operation. He tells them this truck holds $6 million, confirmed by their inside man. The flaw is that the operation will be exposed on the street, requiring more planning time. On the day of the heist, they dress as construction workers and wait for the armored truck to exit the company. Nearby, they notice a car with H's son inside. The truck moves, and the gang ambushes it. Jan, a gang member, monitors Fortigro guards, but when a guard attacks him, H kills Jan and his accomplice. He sees his son, fires 6 shots, and kills them all, then is fired upon while trying to save him, and escapes. 5 months later, the gang regroups for a new mission. Their leader tells them that if they execute it correctly, they won't need to work again. Their target, Fortigro itself, once all trucks are gathered with cash totaling over $150 million. Jack receives intel from their insider and prepares for the heist. On the day, Jack says goodbye to his family, then holds a meeting for all Fortigro employees, informing them that over $180 million will be in the company and instructs them to change exit and return routes and report anything suspicious. At the last moment, H receives instructions from Bolt, who admits he has a group of friends helping steal the trucks. He says the guards had to die during the heist, though killing the civilian was a mistake. Bolt warns H that his gun is unloaded and threatens him if he doesn't cooperate. H asks what he needs to do. Bolt says they want him to get the gang into the company warehouse today. H agrees but carefully plans his moves. The gang disables the truck cameras and enters the warehouse. John notices no camera signal, and Bolt reassures him it will be fixed. The gang exits the truck, raises their hands, and start beating a man on the face, telling him not to interfere. They get back into the truck while the rest of the gang follows. John opens the door, and the gang enters, weapons drawn. They force H to the ground, planning to take Bolt hostage. They open the gate to kill Bolt, but John triggers the alarm and opens fire on the gang, who are wearing bulletproof vests. Guards die as the gang tries to open the gate for the second group, and the gang starts transferring the money to their vehicles before the SWAT team arrives. H takes control of a gang member, subdues manager Devo, and kills those moving the money. He hides his phone among the cash. Devo fires at H from one of the gang's guns. A firefight ensues. H is shot in the leg but identifies the attacker and kills him. He removes his helmet, face covered in blood. Devo gets up and follows H. Diana shoots at the gang. Bolt arrives, telling his colleague he needs a weapon to confront the gang. They kill some gang members, including Diana. H grabs a weapon and attacks the remaining gang. One gang member is killed by Devo. Bolt fires many shots at H, who falls. He calls for Devo's help, kills more attackers, and gets in the truck with the money. The gang moves in the truck. H lies on the ground, watching Jan, the man who killed his son, driving. H chooses a spot to block police cars and exits. Police pursue. Jack, wounded in the neck, enters a garage and a building, raising iron barriers to block police. They escape through an underground tunnel. Jack bleeds from his neck. Jan tells Bolt that their leader has bled heavily and is dead. Bolt is suspicious but continues the escape with Jan through the tunnels until H kills Jan, taking all the money, including the bag containing H's phone. H reaches home, hears the phone ringing in the cash bag, and finds someone on the line speaking to him. He sends a report showing his son's autopsy. The first 2 bullets hit the lungs, the 4th penetrated the liver, and the 5th and 6th damaged the heart. Jan sees the photo and identifies the civilian he killed in the heist. H recreates the events in the same order as in the report, then meets Agent King, confirming the mission is complete. H gets in his car, and that's where our story ends.